clearly I am here to talk once again about the TV shows that I'm watching, but I want to start this week off with Gotham. Because in Gotham, we see at the very beginning the ogre, who this has been a three-part story arc, a three-episode story arc. And I like that. This is something that I think Gotham should do more often, having a villain who, he doesn't have to be the main villain for the whole entire season, but to have him go on for 2, 3, hell, I'll even take 4 episodes of a crazy psychopath serial killer like this. I'm into it. You see him with Barbara, and he reveals himself to her, of course. Of course, after he showed her his little sex dungeon, his 50 Shades of Gotham room, she slept with him after that. Wow! So when a guy on the first night shows you his secret room, whips and chained, what do? You naturally sleep with them. And here I thought 50 Shades of Grey was bullshit. No, apparently women really do that. Or at least Barbara. And after he reveals himself to her, of course she tries to run away, and he doesn't kill her like he did everybody else because for some reason he thinks that she's the one. Her. He wants to be stuck for the rest of his life with her. I almost feel bad for the ogre for falling in love with her. So you have Gordon desperately looking for Barbara. You see him. He's so desperate. The one scene where he goes and threatens the Penguin for a favor, that was really interesting because even the Penguin said, look, you already owe me a favor. And Gordon's like, well, I'll owe you another favor, a bigger favor. And Penguin's kind of giving him the cold shoulder, like, I got other stuff going on, I don't really care. Gordon loses his shit. This is where I got a little nervous. I got a little nervous because, don't get me wrong, I kind of like seeing Gordon lose his cool, get a little crazy, get a little nuts. With some edge on him. He pulls the gun out on Butch, and he tells Penguin, you don't know what I'm capable of. I was just nervous that he was acting like this over Barbara. I was thinking to myself, fuck. They're going to have him realize how much he loves Barbara, that she's his true love, and he's doing all of this for her, and then by the end of it, he's going to go back with her. He's going to realize that Lee's not the one, and all this. I was not like seeing this as it was going on. Watching Bullock attend that high-end party was very comical. Not just because he was out of his element. He was looking around and seeing all those rich people letting themselves be humiliated, tied up, or in their boxers. And just, it was a crazy scene. But we didn't even see what Bullock saw. But up on stage, this wild act was going on, and I don't really know what it was. I think I heard a pig up there on stage. Needless to say, this was too much for Bullock. He took his badge out and said, GCPD. He's like, fuck that. That's not going on. I almost want to know what it was, but I don't think I do. And at this party, they find an eyewitness, Sally, who, when she was explaining all of this stuff about how he took her to her room and tied her up and stuff, I thought, wow, this is really weird that she got away or that he let her get away. I mean, why? And they explained that it was right before he started killing these women. So, okay. I'm going to call bullshit, though, because I would think that the ogre, how calculated he is, how plotting he is, how he even is willing to go after cops' wives to make sure that he doesn't get caught. Wouldn't you think he would have gone back and killed this woman to make sure that, I don't know, she doesn't have these type of clues to one day, someday, give away to a cop or give away to anybody? I don't know. It seemed pretty sloppy that he never thought to go back and kill this girl. But okay, fine. In the meantime, the ogre has, I guess, convinced Barbara to tell him who she wants to kill. I mean, she kept saying no, granted, but he just, eventually she told him to kill her parents. So they go to her parents' house, and Barbara's just standing there, like, emotionless. And I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with her? Like, Has she been brainwashed? How? How? I mean, how long has he had Barbara, really? A full day? And sure, he was being creepy and stuff, but compared to what he was doing to the other woman that he killed, but it's like he didn't. Okay, he left her. Let me not downplay this. He did leave her tied up for however many hours it was. She got weak, and she was scared and freaked out for her life. So trust me, I'm not saying she wasn't tortured, but she was like damn near gone by this point, and she just sort of watched as the ogre killed her parents right in front of her, and she didn't react. She didn't do anything. Gordon shows up, and he sees Barbara in her state. The parents are dead. He has a fight with the ogre, which was a pretty cool fight, and then, long story short, ogre gets shot in the head by Gordon. And Barbara just had this reaction of like, is he dead? But she had a crazy look on her face. I don't know if she's psycho now. Is the next time we see her going to be in Arkham? I don't know. I don't really care. I'm not saying I wanted Barbara to die in this episode, even though I've probably said that before. That I wouldn't mind if she died. I just don't care. I didn't care. I didn't care if she lived or she died. I didn't really want to see her get tortured. But, like, for example, the one scene where she fucking fainted, I was like, okay, her acting is so atrocious. I just don't fucking care what happens to her. I hate to say this. I don't want to hate her as much as I do, but I do. And there's really nothing I can do about that. But Gordon did save her, and then he had that scene with Leslie Tompkins where she revealed how nervous she was that he would either feel guilty about Barbara dying or realize that he should be with Leslie, and he reassured her no, he wouldn't change anything. He loves Leslie, still loves her, and doesn't have any feelings for Barbara. I couldn't have been the only one who cheered and was happy to hear Gordon say that. It's the best thing that he said. As far as side plots go, Bruce Wayne snuck into the office of the guy at Wayne Enterprises. Of course, the safe is empty. So all of that for nothing. He does, however, meet Lucius Fox for the very first time. That was cool. That was interesting. Clearly, Lucius Fox is like one of the only people in the building, in this company, who's not corrupt, who can be trusted. Sure, we know that just from knowing the character, but still, it was nice to see Bruce meeting him. Nigma, who last week, you know what, I thought he killed Flass. Apparently, it's not Flass, it's a different cop. I swear those two actors look exactly the same. I couldn't tell a difference. But it wasn't Flass, it was somebody else. He even had his cut up body parts in his lab that he was going to hide. So I guess that's what he's doing. I guess he's the Dexter of Gotham. Mrs. Kringle shows up and sees the body parts, but she even asked him, hey, did you see him? We were supposed to have dinner, and Nigma says no. I don't know where this is heading. I don't know, like, is Riddler gonna, like, maybe if, like, once he realizes that she's not interested, or if she doesn't pursue him, date him, will he kill her too? And this will be, like, a pattern of him killing people who just piss him off or freak him out. I will say that I enjoyed the moment where he wrote up the letter, pretending to be the other guy, for her, and the whole read between the lines, and every letter of each line spelled out Nigma. That was creative. That was good. That's totally something I could see the Riddler doing, even in this pre-state. So I like that. And then the Penguin, who his big plan is to start a gang war between Falcone and Maroni. This is awesome. This is perfect. This is genius. This is brilliant. I like what Penguin is doing, and I love how he's pulling the strings and he's watching the chaos happen. Even it looks like the cops are going to be on this case with this gang war, this mob war. I don't know what happens. I don't know where it ends up. I believe next week is the finale, the season finale. I am interested to see what happens here. Now I want to talk about Bates Motel. Okay, so at the very beginning of the episode, we see that these workers they're digging a hole in front of the Bates house, and Norma's thinking, "Oh, okay, here's the pool that I was promised." But this hole is fucking huge. It's big. It's too big, and I think it was just them proving a point and just digging this big, huge, ginormous hole there to be an asshole, and then they're just gonna leave it there to piss Norma off. That sucks. But the best thing about this scene at the very beginning, Norma is in her robe, her nightie, I guess. She's looking out the window and she's bending over, and Norman's there and he's checking his mother's ass out. Don't get me wrong, his mom's hot, but it was just creepy. It was creepy to see him checking her out, and he has this look on his face where he knows, he's aware that he wants to fuck his own mom. I said it. It's clearly there for him. Sheriff Romero gets Norma her car back, which is something that was very nice of him to do. Clearly he did it because he has feelings for Norma, and they have chemistry, but the teacher who Norma slept with and told everything to, he gets kidnapped and beaten and tortured almost to get the information out of him. So now this group, this big guy, knows everything you need to know about Norma and Norman. And he's either gonna come after them or he's gonna use this against them. The teacher hauls ass, gets the fuck out of there, and I don't blame him. As good looking as Norma is, she's not worth the headache. Even when Sheriff Romero finds out, not only did Norma tell this guy this, but that this is the case, he goes to Norma, he gives her a chance to tell him the truth. She doesn't do it, pisses him off, and he leaves. He says goodbye. So I think that's the end of that relationship. Dylan going on the gun run with his father was very interesting. Even before he got there, he called Emma, and Emma, they like each other. It's pretty obvious that they like each other. I don't know what I think of that. There's a part of me that likes it because, hey, Emma deserves so much better than Norman. I feel like Norman will kill her if they stay in a relationship. And I think Dylan deserves to be with a nice girl. But the problem with this is that they did this last season with Dylan and Bradley. The same exact thing, right? Norman had something going on with Bradley. Dylan comes in and hooks up with Bradley. And it's like, okay, fuck. Now you're going to do the same exact thing the next season with Emma now? This wouldn't have looked so bad if Dylan didn't just do this last season. I feel like it's making Dylan look bad. Every girlfriend Norman gets, he just swoops in and takes them away. Because then Emma breaks up with Norman. And I appreciate that she told him the truth. She said, I didn't realize how fucked up you were. She didn't say it that harshly. But he is fucked up. And she said, there's too much going on. We're still going to be friends. She's like, I still care for you. I can't help but still like Emma after breaking up with him. So I get that. And then Norman, his reaction to this is going to his room, sitting alone, and talking to his dead dog. That's the level of sanity we're talking about with Norman. He's batshit crazy. I did appreciate, and I was surprised, that he went up to his mom and told her everything. He told her about what the doctor said to him, about his attraction to his own mom, how angry that made him, but then also how he has been thinking about it and scared if it was true. So that was big of him. It was also big of Norma to say what she said to him. Her reaction was surprising. She said, it's okay. It's okay that, you're 18, you're coming into your own, becoming a man, you're getting all these urges. We have animalistic urges, but she says you don't have to act on them. It's it was a very good reaction that she had. She wasn't freaked out by it. Of course, though, when she tells him it's perfectly okay for you to be attracted to me, but as long as you don't do anything about it. And then what she do right after that? She embraces him, she hugs him, she cuddles with him in the bed. It's like, of course he's having these fucking thoughts about you because you're in your 90 cuddling with him in bed. Why wouldn't he think about wanting to fuck you? But there you go. And then at the end of the episode, Norma tells Norman basically everything that's going on. How she told the teacher, how he told somebody else, how they're in trouble, how he needs to stay inside. He had a moment of talking to his imaginary mother who dresses a lot more sexy and makeup and a lot more flirtatious with him. So that was kind of creepy. It almost makes me wonder, like, how far has him and his imaginary mom gone with each other? Because that was pretty close in that dream state. He runs out of the house chasing after his dead dog. I can't get over how many times the dead dog shows up and he fucking talks to it. It's like you don't know that your own dog died. But of course, when he runs out, who does he run into? Randomly, conveniently, Bradley. Now, if I didn't find out that Bradley was coming back this season, this would have been a lot more surprising and shocking. Still, I was surprised. I wasn't expecting it. For some reason, she's just in the area. Her car broke down, and there you go. She's face to face with Norman. What happens? Does Norman freak out and kill her? And it's like nobody else ever finds out about Bradley and her being back? Who knows? I could totally see that happening. But all in all, still a good episode. Season 3, like I said, that Basement Motel has been great. I'm really into it. The Flash. The Flash might be my favorite episode of this week's shows. We see at the very beginning the continuation of Barry, Caitlin, and Cisco in Wells' room. And they're finding out everything. They're reading the newspaper, and not only do they have a moment where, like Cisco says, that's a pretty sweet, updated version of your costume, of your suit. So I wonder how soon we're gonna get this suit. Caitlin notices on the newspaper, which I don't know if we ever saw this or noticed it on the newspaper, that it's written, not only is it written by Iris, but that it says Iris West Allen. I mean, look, I know who the character Iris is. I know in the comic books that she marries Barry. I know this, but for Barry to find that out is very interesting, because I was wanting to see how he would act with Iris. There was a scene later on where he did act a little weird around her, but it's not because the feelings came back or the knowledge of, hey, we're going to get married one day, made him act more awkward. I think it was just when he found out that Eddie was going to propose to her. Like, I like that he didn't try to stop it. I like that he just said, well, I mean, if they get married, then I guess let that happen. You know, he was the most mature that he could be in that situation. I can't appreciate that more. Him talking to Gideon was very interesting, not just because there was a moment where she said, you know, that you're the Flash and that you're the founder of, and then he cut her off, and I said, no! What was she going to say? Was she going to say the Justice League? Was she going to say that he is the founder of the Justice League? Or is it something else she was going to say? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too big on this. But when I heard her say that and he cut her off, I was very upset because I wanted to hear what she was going to say. But it was interesting to hear that Flash creates her, builds her in the future, and she will take orders from him. Of course, they get out of there before Wells finds out. Eddie asks for Joe's blessing about marrying Iris, and Joe says no. And I was very surprised that Joe said no. We found out his reason later, that he knows that Iris likes Barry, and that if Iris marries Eddie, that it's a mistake. So, hey, good for Joe. For being honest, for being straight with Eddie, not being fake to him. Yeah. The whole group, our main group, talking about just this whole situation. I like that they sat down and talked about this and got each other's opinions. They talked about the whole time traveling thing. Barry finally opened up and told them that he did time travel a few weeks ago and how it worked. They pieced together Cisco's dream that it could be more memories of the alternate timeline. I did like that Joe said, well, how the hell can he remember something that he didn't experience? And Barry just said, I don't know, but it just is. So, sure, it could be still an easy way out. It could be still a convenient thing. At least they addressed it. At least Joe asked the question. At least they realized that's a little far-fetched, but it is what it is. We got flashbacks throughout the episode, which was very nice, of Barry in a coma and seeing different people's reaction to it, how Joe was at his bedside almost the whole time. That was great. Just hearing him call Barry his son, it's just, I really like that relationship, that dynamic between them. And even Iris, I thought, had a nice scene with Barry, where we kind of find out that the only reason why she said yes to dating Eddie was because Barry was in a coma. It's almost like one of those things where she liked Barry before all of this, but it's just nothing happened of it. It never had the opportunity to be anything. And you also see Wells wanting Barry to come to his place, and even by the end of it, where Wells admitted that he could kill Barry right now, how much he hates the Flash, how weird it is for him to see Barry this young, how we find out he's been watching Barry since he was a kid for 15 years, growing up, I guess waiting for the right time. Like, it's creepy. It's even more creepy than we thought. He admitted to having some appreciation for working with Barry and getting close with him, but still, the only way that this will end is that he uses him to get back, and then he'll kill him. That's how he wants this to end. Now, Iris had she had a few moments where she wanted to tell Barry something really important. I didn't really know what it was. I didn't think too much of it until when they were face to face, and they totally made it seem like she was gonna confess her love to him. A little forced, where she's just like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm noticing that, or I realized that the accident is the reason why all the metahumans exist." And I kind of felt like saying, "Wow, you're 20 episodes behind on this." I kind of thought that was obvious. It was public knowledge that this accident that Wells started is the reason why everybody has powers. Maybe it's just common knowledge between the group, so we think like that. Maybe the public doesn't know this. Who really knows? I don't know. We get to the moment where, because not only did they recreate the dream for Cisco being killed by Wells, which was very creepy and weird, but I did think it was cool, we see them recreate the moment in real life, and they're trying to get a confession out of Wells about killing Barry's mom. But chaos goes on, and West shoots Harrison Wells in the heart and kills him. What? That was my reaction. I could not believe what I was watching. Wells dead right there, until you see that, no, it was the shapeshifter. Wells not only knew what was going on, but we see that he's been having cameras hooked up everywhere. He's been watching them at all times. And you know what? That makes perfect sense. I thought that Wells knew what was going on, or knew that they were on to him, that he was 10 steps ahead, and he was. But he was so much more ahead than I even realized or thought. It really makes him look like the smartest, best villain you could fight. I mean, I can't believe we're getting the Flash's best villain in the first season. It's like, how do you top this? Where do you go after Wells from here? Then we have the moment where Eddie is going to propose to Iris, It doesn't happen though. Reverse Flash takes Eddie away, and Flash is talking to Iris, but he's doing the little shaking head thing, changing his voice. So it's not till she touches his hand and they have a spark of electricity, which happened when Barry was in the coma. And I mean, I don't know if that's enough reason for me to believe that she figures it out just from that. But okay, fine. She figures out that Barry is the Flash. Okay. Why not? I just like the fact that she now knows. And what is she going to do with this information now? Does it happen like the alternate timeline where now that she knows, she falls in love with him? Or what? Because what's going to happen now between Wells and Eddie? Wells tells Eddie everything, that they're related, that he's from the future, and I couldn't really gauge Eddie's reaction. I mean, everything that I've learned about Eddie as a character, I can't buy him just switching and turning evil just because he's learning all of this. But who knows? I guess you have to get Eddie away from Iris somehow, and if he just turns full-blown evil at this point, who really knows? Great episode, though. I really liked it. I'm loving Flash. I can't wait to see how this ends. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Let's get into this. Raina is having visions, and I think there is some theories that Raina is the clairvoyant. Like, the real clairvoyant. All of that talk in Season 1, and then finding out that there really wasn't a clairvoyant. Now, for her to become the clairvoyant is pretty big. Pretty interesting. Lincoln got kidnapped by Hydra last episode along with Deathlock. And Skye was very upset about Lincoln being kidnapped. A lot more upset than anyone else in the Inhuman group who knew him more. Like, I hope they're not setting Lincoln up as a love interest for Skye. I don't want to see that. I don't care to see that. I don't think they've spent enough time together to fall in love. Or, I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't see why we have to have a need for her to fall in love with somebody. I found myself not really caring that he was in a coma by the end of it. I don't want to sound heartless, but I'm being honest. Coulson lets himself get taken, and basically Gonzalez is willing to go along with Coulson's plan to go in to the Hydra base using Inhumans and saving them. And we find out by the end of it why he was really willing to do that. Simmons doesn't trust Ward. And I completely understand why. Ward has done some fucked up things to them. I more than loved, I'll call it the elephant on the plane scene, where basically the group is back together. Even Ward says that. He goes, hey, we got the group back together like old times. Ward was very funny, very charismatic, very charming. As much of a dick as he is, or as much as evil, fucked up things that he's done, he's killed a lot of innocent people, you can't help but sort of like watching him on screen. He's just... I remember in Season 1, his character went from being a little dull and generic to being one of the most fascinating characters on the show. And I think that still holds true here. Simmons had like a bomb that she was about to kill Ward with until he caught her. And the other Hydra guy who was under mind control got killed. So there's that. Ward ended up leaving by the end of it, by the end of the mission. So I don't know where he goes from here. Agent 33 is now back with S.H.I.E.L.D., so they're not going to be together. I don't know if they're trying to bring Ward back in and slowly but surely have him redeemed. I don't buy it. I am glad that he didn't stay there to get the whole memory wiped thing. I didn't want to see that route of him getting redeemed. That would have been a little forced. Gordon taking Skye back to S.H.I.E.L.D., even if it was just for this moment or this mission. I was surprised by that, but I did like seeing her back with them. I don't know where Skye's head is, though, right now. I feel like we're going to find that out next week. But as far as, is she does she trust S.H.I.E.L.D. now? I don't even think she realizes what's going on. The whole S.H.I.E.L.D. being in two groups. And, like, does she realize which S.H.I.E.L.D. was going after her in the cabin, for example? It seems like she's fully in the Inhuman camp, and she's just almost being her own spy in this group. So there you go. By the end of it, Coulson is talking to Maria Hill, which was very nice. I like seeing Maria Hill there. She's really the only connection by this point between this show and the movies. And then we preview Avengers: Age of Ultron, which I have already seen. If you haven't seen my review on my channel, check it out. The movie's fucking awesome. I do have to admit, though, watching this movie and then watching this show hasn't felt less connected to the Marvel Cinematic Universe more than it does now. I can't help but watch the movie and think that this show doesn't feel connected, or it at least doesn't feel like it's a big player in everything that's going on. It feels like it's not connected. It feels like it's its own thing. Everything that happens in the Avengers movie isn't connected to what's going on here. It feels like when you see what's left of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the movie, it doesn't match up to what's going on this show. Between that and reading the interview with Joss Whedon, where he says that he doesn't really take the show into account when he's plopping out the story of the movies, and to him, the show is its own thing, it almost makes you go like, well, what are we watching the show for? Or what does that do for the importance of the show? Where even Joss Whedon is admitting that he's not the biggest fan of the show, that he didn't love the idea of them bringing Coulson back. And it's just, you hear him say all this and you go like, well, fuck. There you go. I enjoy S.H.I.E.L.D. I do. I don't want to trash it just because Joss Whedon said that, but I do have to admit that the level of importance of this show is definitely in question. But last but not least, I want to talk about Arrow, because Arrow happened. At the beginning, you see a series of events, a montage of Oliver fully embracing the League of Assassins. And it was weird. This is just a process, right? And they explained it throughout the episode that it's mind control or it's brainwashing, more brainwashing in a superhero TV show. And Oliver is just, he's fully embraced being a member, being the heir to the demon throne. And don't get me wrong, I like it from a story perspective. I like seeing the drama. I like seeing the team deal with Oliver being gone, in a sense, and Stephen Amell's acting as this cold-blooded assassin killer. It's interesting. It makes for great TV. But I don't know if I buy Oliver as a character being so easily broken. I don't want to say that it was so easy, but when you think about what we've seen Oliver go through already on this show, and even in the flashbacks of the torture that he went through on the island, I didn't feel like I watched the montage of what happened in the League to him and thought, yeah, I can see why he got broken. I didn't get that feeling. I kind of went like, well, hasn't he been through worse? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But seeing the scene where he thought he was killing the real Diggle was quite disturbing, especially because I thought it was really Diggle for a second. It was disturbing. It was sickening to see what looked like Oliver killing Diggle. Thankfully it wasn't, but it was a setup to show that this Oliver, this new Oliver, is willing to kill his friends, his loved ones, his family, because that's just the person that he is now. We see Laurel and Nissa's still training Laurel as the Black Canary. That was cool to see. Finally see that. We haven't seen much of them training, and even just them having a nice moment at a restaurant with the milkshake and the fries. It was a nice human moment for Nyssa. I've never liked her more than I do right now. Her wanting to be human but knowing she can't have it. So again, I like that, but Laurel finally tells Nyssa the truth about Oliver, and Nyssa now knows that Oliver's going to come after her. And again, more respect for Nyssa, because when she realizes that Oliver is going after her, she wants to face him face to face and accept her fate. Like, she's not going to hide. She's not going to run. She's willing to take it, and you can't respect her more for that. Thea wanting to help, going to Felicity and saying, look, I don't want to be at home alone. I want to help. I appreciated that. Sure, Felicity turned her down, but still, the fact that Thea wanted to be involved, I liked. The scene where Oliver went after Nyssa on the roof, and they had that fight, and it looked like Oliver was about to kill her. But then Diggle and Laurel showed up. Again, I like this, because it was just awesome, the fight, first of all. But then seeing Oliver look at Diggle and Laurel, and just the look on his face, the expressionless, just there was no emotion there. And it really looked like Oliver was gone. He was looking at them. He might have had a hint of recognizing them, but still, there's just nothing there. And later on, Oliver kidnapped Lila, Diggle's wife. Sure, he left the baby unharmed, but still, that's pretty low, man. He was the best man at the wedding, and he does that. They have the exchange, but they ended up having this big brawl and a big fight, and it looked like Oliver was about to kill Diggle for real this time until Thea showed up. Thea wearing a hood. And I kind of got happy seeing that, because it makes me think that Thea will become who we all think she's going to become. And it was also cool to see her stand up to her own brother, almost realizing that it's not really her brother there anymore, and she seemed like she was willing to kill him. So that was quite interesting. And when Oliver brings Nyssa back to Roz, he was more than willing to kill Nyssa, but Roz stops him and says, no, we're going to make use out of Nyssa, and you're going to marry her. And I get the impression that he wants Oliver to have babies with Nyssa. That's the only reason why he's keeping Nyssa around. Wow. That's the League of Assassins for you. He's using his own daughter just to breed with this other guy who he's making the heir to his throne. The episode ends, or at least towards the end, Felicity tells Thea about Roy still being alive. Wow, I almost forgot that Thea didn't know that yet. But it was cool. I mean, let's see what Thea does with this. I'm assuming she's going to go off and find Roy. So Roy maybe isn't gone for the season. I think we do see him back. And what do we do now, though? Oliver is really gone. I mean, he is a villain. It's weird to see our main character, and for the first time, we don't know what's in his head. I mean, I don't think he's faking it. He's definitely brainwashed, but it's like, how does he come out of this? What will it take for him to come out of this? It's crazy. It's crazy. Between Arrow and Flash, like Flash, I want to say I'm liking more this season, but I feel like Flash is more focused, and I can almost see where the season is heading to, but I still can't wait for it. Arrow has just been all over the place this season. And not even in a bad way. You're going to have some people bashing Season 3 like they have been. But I just mean, like, the season has... so much has happened. It's gone in so many different directions that I have no fucking idea how Arrow Season 3 will end. It's completely up in the air. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of some of these shows? Holy fuck, it's a lot. Like, comment, subscribe. Later.